What's up, Grace Girls? Welcome to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast, where we focus on helping Black women change their lives by discarding negative thoughts, pivoting in the right direction, and shifting their mindset through cultivating a trauma free lifestyle. I'm your host, Courtney Kristen, educator, content creator, life coach, counselor, and mental health enthusiast living in Houston, Texas. I created the Allow Yourself Grace podcast because I wanted to create a space for Black women to share their thoughts, feelings, and stories that make them who they are without fear of judgment. Allow Yourself Grace provides emotional support and encouragement within the Grace Girls community for women in need of non-biased opinions from women other than family and friends. Personal development, self-care, career, faith are among many of the topics we will discuss on this platform. Allow Yourself Grace podcast is here to encourage Black women to live unapologetically and thrive in being authentically who they are and were designed to be, an entire vibe. No topics are off limits. We will cover it all. Now, grab a notebook, pen, sit back, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, welcome back to Allow Yourself Grace podcast. I have a guest. Y'all know my bonus episodes always have a special guest for you guys, so I'm super excited about introducing her to you. And yeah, we're in the second season now, so made it through the first season. Yay. And so I'm going to let her introduce herself and let her tell you what she wants to tell you.
Well, my name is Cecily Baptiste Dawson. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and my practice is in Kingwood, Texas, and I specialize in trauma. And so I do EMDR therapy and help clients process any traumatic events that they've experienced.
Awesome. Y'all know I'm excited. I'm smiling because me and this trauma thing, y'all.
People think I'm funny because whenever I hear trauma, I'm like, "Ooh, trauma! Let's
yes,
talk about it."
yes, because
Tell me
so
more.
many people are not trauma informed, and
No.
like it has a lot to do with how you interact and how you are in relationships and things,
Yeah.
and it's just like when you start learning about it, it just gets more intriguing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that today, but our topic today is positive self-talk for Black women. And so I kind of wanted to dive into that because last month was Women's Month, and everybody was posting all the women in their lives that are doing great things and all these things. But I also wanted to kind of speak into the lives of women who may be struggling. They may feel like, they're not there yet, or, they're comparing themselves to people that they see, and, just kind of focusing on them, learning to embrace your own journey and kind of being positive instead of looking at it in a negative light. So, do you have any advice for people who are struggling with those negative thoughts?
Um, I wouldn't even say necessarily advice, but I think it's important that we start shifting our expectations for ourselves a little bit differently to not necessarily go into the construct of society. So, like having that checkbox, like, oh, by the time I'm 25, I have to have X, Y, and Z,
Right.
because as we were talking about with traumatic experiences, that shifts our perspective of how we see life,
Yes. Yes.
how we experience life. So it's important to take that into account when we're comparing ourselves to others. Their
Right.
journey was very different compared to yours, compared to mine, and so therefore our journey is going to be different.
Right. And I think it's unique to you, like depending on what you've experienced, like you say, kind of what you've been through. And so, do you think affirmations are something that's a good thing to kind of help out with
Yeah,
the positive
absolutely.
self-talk? And so when clients come to you and they're kind of coming to you because they're kind of like frustrated, they're upset with how things are going in their lives, like what's one of the main practices that you guys kind of do first? Do you kind of just hear them out and then you guys go into working on like giving them like exercises to do, or?
Yes. So during the first session, we basically just do like assessments, evaluations, and depending on what they're needing, I am listening to see what they need. So with like the positive self talk, a lot of times you'll pick up on constant negative things that
Mm.
you're saying about yourself. And so, one of the exercises that I provide with my clients is for every negative thought that you give yourself two positive,
I like that.
because that is combating that negative thought. And by adding that additional positive thought, we're able to create those new pathways to have a new habit of being nice to
Right,
ourselves.
right. And it takes 90 days to create a habit. So
Uh-huh.
just doing that consistently every day, um, it starts to become like a lifestyle for you, like a new norm. So yeah, that's definitely a good practice. And I think stemming back to like how you grew up, if you're around a lot of negativity and you're not really aware that it's negative, it becomes kind of a learned behavior.
Yeah.
And so I noticed that in my family, just talking to like my grandparents and stuff out, and I don't know if it's like the time period that they
Hmm.
grew up, but it's like, they're talking, but I don't think they realize it, you
It's
know?
normal for them.
Yeah, it's like a norm. So do you think that's normal for Black families, or you think that's like all families?
Ooh, so that within itself is a hot topic now,
Mm-hmm.
especially in counseling and psychology, just because of, I'm not sure if you've heard of the post-slave syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Black Americans, we have different experiences compared to Caucasian families. So that it can be debatable, and depending on what socioeconomic status that the family is from, it might contribute to more of those negative cognitions that they have about themselves.
Can you provide the viewers with some examples of the post-slave
Yeah. Uh-huh.
mentality, just so they kind of know
So
the
with
theory?
post-traumatic slave disorder, it's mostly with Black Americans who are descendants of slaves. We have a different perspective on how we raise families, how we raise children. And from Black families, one thing that we have is you whip your kid,
Mm.
not understanding that it is rooted from slavery. I'd rather be the person to beat you than master
Right,
coming to beat you.
right.
So that way I can condition you to do what you need to do. So that way you don't get hurt by master or you don't get lynched.
Wow. I never even I'm going wow because I'm like, wow, I didn't think about it like that. And we are our families are so quick to like relate it to the biblical
Oh yeah.
spare the rod,
The
spoil
child.
the
Uh-huh.
child. But I've never thought about it from that perspective. Because if you notice, there's like a lot of children where whoopings don't work. That's just not a thing. It's like, what? I'll take a whooping because I'm gonna go back and play
Oh
my
yeah.
game, or I still get to go
They will
outside.
still do it.
And so, why do you think that is? Do you think that because everybody's different, and so why do you think the response to whoopings are different for every child?
Actually, I had that conversation with a friend a few days ago. We were talking about like that classic conditioning.
Mhm.
You do something, I whoop you. You don't like the feeling, so you stop doing it.
Right,
It doesn't work on everyone.
right.
So seeing what exactly works for that kid specifically. So maybe instead of whoopings, maybe taking that game away
Yes.
from them, they're going to be like, you know what?
All right, I'll chill.
Yeah,
I'll relax now
because that's
because
actually hurting me more
mhm.
than you whooping
Yep.
me.
Yep. And I've noticed that a lot when I dealt with children. It's just like, oh, okay, this doesn't work for you. You have to try, you just have to try different things. And
Yeah.
it's the same way with us. Like there's just some things that aren't gonna work for you. So it's important that you find things that work for you.
Yeah.
And just because it works for your friend or their family doesn't mean that, it's necessarily gonna work for you. And so how can people become more trauma informed? Like what's something that they could do just on their own?
As far as being trauma informed, there's that popular book, Body Keeps the Score. So just becoming more educated on what trauma is. Can we cut that part out?
Yeah. Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. So becoming more educated on what trauma is
Mhm.
and understanding also that Trauma can be like if we're sitting down right now having a conversation and somebody comes in and starts yelling and screaming at us, that can cause some trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma can be or it can occur during like a car accident, a physical fight, anything. So understanding how we can be traumatized. We can also be traumatized vicariously. So that means if I'm sitting here and I'm listening to your journey and there's trauma, I can be traumatized
Yes.
from your story. So trauma is transferable. So understanding that foundation and seeing how it affects us in our everyday life, we can start there.
Yeah. I think we've just been taught to, not face things head on.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you need to be strong, it'll be fine, just pray about it, like those types
Oh,
of things. And
strong black woman.
to be the strong black woman,
And the secret, we're all out there struggling.
and we're all
That,
angry,
uh-huh.
and
And
we're
we're
all
hurting
upset. Yeah.
and we need help.
Yep. And we don't look good. We're ugly, those
Yeah.
things. We're dark, we're light, we're this, we're that. And so now you see more black women starting to embrace their natural hair. They're embracing like the locks. They're
Yeah.
embracing their curl patterns, all these things. And so I think because we've become more bold and more confident, it's hard for other cultures to really understand. So and I'm saying that to say, because I want to go to, I don't know if you watched the Oscars. I didn't watch it, but I saw the clip with Angela Bassett.
Oh, yes, I saw the
hmm
clip.
And when she didn't win her face, right?
Hmm.
And so the only thing I could think of was, why is it not okay for her to have her moment? She's human.
Yeah.
She thought she deserved it, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so because the camera caught her face at that moment, people were criticizing her and saying like, "Oh, she's jealous. She shouldn't be that way. This that." But why is it not okay for her to,
Exactly.
have her moment? And so I think we've been taught to kind of suppress how we
Yeah.
feel
Shut it down.
and shut it down. So, what are some things that you think women can start practicing to do, to kind of become more confident?
Acknowledging the emotions that they're having. What I see a lot, even in practice, is that we're not being honest with ourselves. I like to call it gaslighting ourselves because, like, I'm I'm good. I'm not angry. I'm not upset. I'm okay. No, you're not. And
You're
you know
not,
you're not, but you're sitting there trying to tell yourself that you're okay and you're not.
and you're not.
So, being honest with yourself, acknowledging the emotions that you're experiencing and the emotions that you're having.
And I love that. And I always say accountability, like just own it,
Yeah.
own it and just be in the moment and have your moment. You don't have to stay there, but it's okay to have your moment.
I'd like to say, setting a timer for yourself. Like if it's 5 minutes, so you can sit
Yes.
there, be in your feelings, cry it out,
Yep.
scream it out. When that timer goes
Yep.
off,
It's
pick
done.
your stuff up and you keep walking.
And you keep going.
That's what it is.
Yes. I always say, you got 5 minutes
Uh-huh.
because the rest of my day is way more important. And I think we allow others to impede on our happiness as well, like our emotions,
Yeah,
the triggers, and we give them more time than what they deserve,
absolutely.
first of all. And then we spend the whole day mad at this person and they're just on about their day. They're having a
Yeah,
great day and you're
they're
upset.
good.
So I like that. Set a timer. I like that. The next thing I kind of wanted to talk about was fix your face. That was a thing, right? Yes. You get popped, you get slapped, you
Yep.
get like shut up, from your parents, and it's like fix your face. Like, but I'm hurting.
Uh-huh.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
So the fix your face thing, I think, plays over into adulthood. I mean, I'm not the expert, so I kind of wanted to hear, your opinion on it. Because I hear parents say that all the time, like, fix your face, but you just popped this kid.
So as far as an opinion on that
Hmm.
from a LPC
Right.
perspective, Are you wanting to know more of what the parent should do instead,
Like,
or
what's something that could be done instead? Because I think we're teaching kids that it's not okay to have feelings, right? It's not
or
okay
to
to
show or
show it
express?
or express the emotion. Yeah.
Got it. So, as far as from a parent with the child,
Hmm.
allowing them to be able to have that emotion, and even verbalizing with them what's going on. So, I'm not going to sit there and say, you can't discipline your
Right.
kid how you want to, but if you decide, hey, I'm going to spank my child and they're upset, having that conversation with them, explaining to them, hey, this is
Yes.
why this
Yes.
happened. And what can we do to prevent this from happening again?
Right.
So you don't have to get it. So
Yes.
that type of thing.
So you think just having conversations and being vocal with your children, because I think people do, they whoop their kids and then the kids are in the room
Uh-huh.
and they're in their room and that's the end of it.
That actually
Yeah.
creates more of that detached from their emotions.
Hmm.
And there is research that shows timeouts are not healthy. And as parents, we should be doing time in. So that means I'm putting that time in to have a conversation with
Yes.
you about what's going on rather than, hey, you have this emotion, go to your room.
Right. And I
You
think
deal
it
with it on your own.
validates. It validates their
And
their
it teaches
feelings.
them that they can't look outside of themselves to help cope with what's going on and handle their emotions. And
Right.
then we have adults walking around getting in relationships and they're not ready because they don't know how to effectively
Yes.
communicate or have emotions.
Yes. So we're gonna move right into relationships. Yes, because the girls like to talk about
Yeah.
relationships and a lot of people I see them, they get in a relationship and then you like a month later they're in another relationship or they're single or they're struggling to stay in a relationship, but their social media post or whatever they say about it is always like it's the other person's fault. Um and so I'm just wondering, like, what is it going to take for people to do that self reflection to say, okay, what part am I playing in this? What am I struggling with to, be in a healthy relationship? Like, what am I going to need to do in order to maintain a healthy relationship?
Or like the individuals who feel like they keep attracting the exact same type of person.
Their type, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like using a fishing analogy. You're using the exact same bait, expecting to catch a different fish. So, what bait are you using,
That's going to be on the screen,
honey?
guys. That's going to be on the screen. Change your bait.
Yeah,
Okay. We got to get some new bait
because
because
if you want to catch a different fish, you're not going to use the same bait catching catfish that you are going to do a different type of fish, like
right.
salmon.
And sometimes your type is not really your type, you know? So I think we have to take a look at that as well. We've all been in relationships that did not work out, and it's like, okay, no, I don't want that anymore.
Hmm.
So I have to change my bait because I have
Yeah,
to change where I'm going. I have to kind of change what I'm doing.
yeah.
Those are the type of things that I'm saying you need to reflect on during the self-reflection time. Um, Let's talk a little bit about you transitioning because I know you were an educator before.
Yes.
And so I'm super excited to hear this part because I have a lot of friends who are transitioning, some who have already transitioned. And so
Yeah.
I know they're going to be listening in because I'm like, guys, I'm having another LPC on. I'm super excited about it. And they're like, what? I'm like, make sure you tune in. So the transition, how was that for you? Because you've been out for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah.
Yeah. The transition was easy, but getting from education into becoming a counselor, I wouldn't say it was difficult.
Mhm.
I was able to juggle going to school full time and working full time as a teacher. And once the position became available at one of the psychiatric hospitals, I took it and just made that transition.
Okay. And so it's been smooth. Are you at the
Yeah.
same you're in the same location? You're at a new location?
I am no longer working at that facility.
Mhm.
I'm working in my private practice now,
Okay.
and working with the community still.
Okay, I like that. Do you have other LPCs that work with you, or
Yes.
how many do you have with
I
you?
have 7 total. 2 are LCSWs, and 1, she's an LCDC intern.
Can you tell the people what that is?
Yes.
I'm like, what is that?
I
No.
I even have to remember the
Yeah.
acronym. So LCDC is a licensed chemical dependency counselor,
Okay.
and LCSW, that's licensed clinical social work.
Okay. So the first one, what was it again?
Licensed chemical dependency counselor.
Okay. What is he or she? What do they do?
So with an LCDC, they work specifically with people who struggle with substance abuse.
Okay.
So we work closely together, LPCs and LCDCs, because LPCs are able to take more of the mental wellness piece, and the
Mhm.
LCDCs they're able to take that substance abuse piece.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so merging them together provides that holistic.
Okay, I like that. I like that. So do like sometimes you guys team up? Maybe they see the LPC for a little bit, and then
Mhm.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
I like that. So it just depends on the plan that the client may, whatever
yeah.
they may need. It's
Whatever
unique
treatment
to
plan
them.
they have
Okay,
during
okay, I
that
like
first
that.
session.
Do you guys accept all insurance? Is
Um,
that
Not all.
mhm,
More of the major ones like Aetna, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Superior Health, um, United Healthcare, TRICARE East. Those are the
okay?
ones
So
off the top.
guys, you hear that? They are you guys accepting clients?
We are accepting new
Okay.
clients, and they're able to go to the website www.experiencelife-counseling.com, and
Okay.
you're able to see all the insurances. You can read the profiles for all of the counselors, and just to learn a little bit more.
That. So is it virtual and in person, or okay?
But
So they offer virtual as well, guys. So if you don't live in the Kingwood area, they can still service you. So that's a good thing. Because I think we just need to normalize going to counseling. It's
oh
okay. And I had to learn that counselors need counselors too.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
so I usually go like do my little 6 or 8 sessions
Uh-huh.
every I usually do in the fall, and then I'll take a break and then go back in the spring. Just I just like going.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just good to have somebody to talk to that's non-biased, kind of like, that they don't know you, you really don't know them. So I would definitely go, to the website wherever you need to go to, get
And then
support.
also, employers, they provide EAP, which is
Hmm.
employee benefits. And a lot of times with that EAP program, you can get like 6 to 8 free sessions a year.
Yep. And
That's a great way to get started.
educators, all my educator friends, if
Yes,
you need it,
definitely.
they do. I know they do it in HISD for sure. They have 8 sessions, I think. So
Oh, that's awesome.
definitely, yeah, definitely check that out. Because especially now, guys, y'all gonna need it.
Oh, yeah.
I always say in the summer is a good time for educators to take advantage of, their mental health insurance if they don't want to go during the year.
Charge.
Yeah, recharge. So healthy practices, do you think like mental wellness should be a part of just your everyday
Oh, yeah.
self-care? You think that's something
Absolutely.
that people should include?
In addition to that, also like just that self-reflection. At the end of the day, at the beginning of the day,
Hmm.
whatever you feel is best for you and your routine. But being able to do that, it's gonna provide further insight as far as like what your triggers are, things you like, things you don't like,
Right.
things you want to change in your life to make it more productive.
I like that. Self-reflection. I have a gratitude journal. And so this is my first time having one, and I'm really enjoying it. It has like, where you can kind of reflect on what you're grateful for, what's going well, what's not going well. I like the fact that it's asking you both, because let's be honest, sometimes things aren't going well, but it
Yeah.
allows you that time to kind of reflect. And I usually do it in the mornings. But I like that incorporating it at night, like kind of reflecting your about your day that you've had. So that's good. That's something that I think everybody should incorporate. And just making time, because I hear people say they don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we have time. We make time for what we want to
Right.
make time for. So Yeah, and then balance. So I wanted to talk to you about balance. So
Uh-huh.
you're a wife.
Mhm.
You're your mom?
No,
Not yet?
no,
Okay.
I have a fur baby.
Oh, you
So
have a fur baby.
yeah, so
So
that counts.
yeah, that counts. Balancing it all
Oh yeah.
for women, because there's women that are like, they're in the corporate world or they're doing other things. They may be, working, maybe have their own business. What would you say to them, like, as far as balance? Like, how, maybe they're feeling overwhelmed, what would you say to someone who's feeling like that?
As far as the feeling of being overwhelmed,
Mhm.
I will say personally, it is having my husband be supportive. He's very supportive. And that within itself, it helps take that weight off of me, and we're able to do that teamwork.
Yes. Yes.
So it becomes much more manageable when you're able to have that cohesiveness.
Yes. And having a support system.
Yeah, having a support
Yeah.
system, even if it's not necessarily a spouse, but having your tight knit support system and using and utilizing that support system. Ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. Like,
She's talking to me. It's okay.
you cannot do it all by yourself.
You can't,
It is
guys.
not possible. Like,
It's not.
ask for help.
And we try. We
Yeah.
definitely try. Especially as women, we try to do it all, but relinquish control. I definitely agree. I love that because I needed to hear that. Because sometimes it's hard because it's like, oh, I don't want to impede,
Yeah.
on them. I don't know what they have to do, but just
And
finding,
you're over there drowning.
you're drowning when they can help you, but they don't know what's going on
No.
because you're not communicating. And why do you think people struggle so much to communicate what they need?
They've been let down. So going to someone and saying, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, and being dismissed. Sometimes that goes back to childhood too.
Yeah.
I went to my caregiver to meet my needs, and I was told to go to my room. I was told to deal with it on my own. I was told to suck up my fears. So I learned to internally.
True. That is so true. I just think back to when my mom passed away and people were coming, people come to the house, they come to the funeral. Like sometimes it's weird and awkward because they don't know what to say and they're saying
Yeah.
all the wrong things.
Oh,
And they're
yeah.
like, be strong. Um, be strong? Like what?
Oh,
Like, no, I just lost my mom. Like
uh-huh.
those are things that I think people just don't know what to say. But one of the things that I've learned to say to people that are grieving, that may be going through something, may need help, is just let me know what you need. I'm here if you need to talk. I'm here, whatever you need, I'm here. And sometimes just that validation is okay.
So you know my therapist
Yep, come
talked
on.
about this.
My tears are because I've always been the strong person, and I talked about this on last season on my episodes because I do like some of my episodes by myself, and I was in tears as well because it's like no one ever checks on the strong person, and so but when you said if you don't communicate that people don't know, so that's kind of where that comes from because it's like learning to communicate, especially when you're older, you're kind of in your 30s
Oh,
and you had all these experiences and you never really communicated them.
yeah.
That's why I say getting that mental health assistance and getting therapy is very important because you need it to get to the place where you need to be because sometimes it's
Yeah.
hindering you from getting where you need to be.
Absolutely.
So I think that's where it comes from. My therapist asks me that all the time. She's like, come on, there's more. I need more. And I'm just like, girl, don't be trying to do that. Don't be trying to do that. No, just wait. Don't use that on me because I use that a lot
Yeah.
too.
But also going back to the loss, a lot of people say they don't. And they always ask, what do you say? Literally sitting with that person in silence and just being there is enough. Or telling them, be strong. Don't say that. I recently lost a close friend of my husband and I, and his brother was told to be strong. And I looked at him and I said, baby, no, you don't.
Let it all.
No.
Yeah.
Like, no, no, and no. That's what your support system is for. Your support system is there to be strong.
Yep. While you cry it out, like
Uh-huh.
while you just have your moment.
And I even say, don't ask what they need, just do it. You
Mm.
know that they're not about to eat. They're grieving. Give them some food.
Yep.
Go in that house and pick up that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Go do the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Just be present.
Yeah.
Be present. And that was one of the things that was so frustrating for me when I went through the process is it's like, oh, call me if you need something. Mm, no.
And
Yeah.
we're not used to talking about
Yep.
our feelings
We're not
anyway.
used to talking
And
about it.
being in that kind of vulnerability.
Yep. Yep.
It's not
Yeah.
going to happen.
It's not. And it just, the tears come too because it's like you're kind of reliving the moment in your head because
Yeah.
it was like the person, it kind of makes them more frustrated and more sad because it's like nobody's understand, like nobody's doing what I need them to do. And right now I'm not in the mental state to communicate that, you know?
Exactly.
So that's kind of like it's frustrating. And I know it's frustrating. It's frustrating, especially for my siblings because they were a little younger. And so for them, it's like, I'm telling you to call you. Like, I'm not going to call you. So
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you said that because if you are grieving, because the year just started and a lot of people are just going through a lot of things and, trying to get back into the swing of things. And maybe you lost someone at the beginning of the year. And so it's okay to have your moment. And if you are the person that's supporting them, just kind of just like Cecily said, be present. Just be present. That's really all they need from you. And so that was one of the other things we were talking about today is just coping with the loss. Like whether that's the loss of a friend, a family member, a job, or maybe you're just transitioning in your life. Those are the times that you really need to lean into, taking advantage of the mental health therapy that's out here. What would you say to someone who, maybe has experienced something traumatic? What would be the first steps for them to take to get to a healthy place?
So more of a like a traumatic loss.
Yeah, like a loss.
A lot of people say time. I don't agree because time can go on and we feel the exact same way
Hmm.
that we did in day one. Time is not going to heal. With that, it's important to go to a therapist who knows how to help you navigate grieving. Or even if someone's not ready to go into therapy, taking a step back and evaluating your relationship with that person. I use the perspective of people are loaned to us, which means we don't possess them, we will not have them forever. But the thing that we will have forever is the gift that they gave us. And every single person, at least from my perspective, you are put into someone's life for a reason. So it might be a gift of, thank you for giving me authentic love. Thank you for helping me learn more about myself and have me gain confidence. So that loss that you're experiencing, taking a step back and saying, hey, what am I missing? Oh, my grandmother, she used to be able to accept me exactly how I am. I didn't have to change, I didn't have to maneuver. That's what I'm missing. She gave me that gift that it's okay to be. So, what gift did that person
I like that. Y'all should be writing that down because I'm over here going, seriously, I've never looked at it like that. Yeah, because I guess that's what we're longing for, like
Yeah.
the part that we truly, truly miss the most. Wow. Okay, we got heavy for a second, guys. Okay. I kind of want to go into, you've been married. How long have you been married?
It will be 7 years.
So, oh, yes. I love it. I love it. Y'all know I love love. So, marriage, because I get questions, and so I'm like, okay, let's get some more wives on here and get some other opinions. So, for my ladies who have been in long relationships, like they've been in a relationship, maybe they've been dating the same person for quite some time. Still, aren't married, but they desire to be married. They don't really know how to address the issue. They're kind of dealing with it, internally, like, should I ask? I don't want to ask. I don't know how to approach the situation. What advice would you give them?
So now my LPC hat's about to come off.
It's coming off. The wife hat is coming on.
LPC is out the window.
LPC is out the window.
We're Cecily is here.
Yeah. So. Yeah. We're going into Cecily.
You need to ask about that. And the fact that you're nervous or worried about what his response is going to be, I feel like that within itself tells all. I have to walk on eggshells for you to make this commitment.
Yeah. Because it's like, the question I got was, oh, well, how do you feel about it? Because I don't want to run the person off, right? I don't want to.
So now we have abandonment.
I'm scared that they're
now the therapist is coming back. Now we have to work
the fear of abandonment. Mm-hmm. If I address the issue, this person may.
So now we have to process the abandonment and your needs not being met, and if you're willing to remain in a relationship, let's further on.
So that's what we need to look at.
Okay.
That is what we need to look at. And I think for me, sometimes I may come off a little blunt because I'm just like, look, okay, you need to really look at this. Like, is this somebody you think you want to be with long term if you're scared to communicate? I'm like, I'm not about telling you what you want to hear, and so I like people to hear from other people because, sometimes we just look for validation. Like, you go to your friend with the problem and we just want them to validate. And it's like, no, that's not. So I'm always that friend. Like, I'm like, no.
I'm going to tell you the truth.
So it's like, a lot of times I don't know stuff because it's like, oh, I don't want to tell her because she's going to be like, no, because I just believe in just being honest and being real. Because to me, it doesn't take that long. I'm not a guy. But I just feel like it doesn't take that long for a guy to know, like, hey, I possibly want to marry her. They can blame it on money. They blame it on all this other stuff. But I'm like, I don't think it takes that long.
Yeah, I don't think it takes.
Yeah, especially my concern is that when you're building, and so I kind of want to speak to that too. Like, when you're building something, maybe you have a business, maybe you bought a home, like you're acquiring things together and, you're not married and you're not thinking about, what could possibly happen if something doesn't work out, you're not married, So how do you feel about those things? Like acquiring stuff with someone that you're not married to long term?
Hard one.
That's a hard one because I was like, what?
Ooh, that's a hard one. Building together without the marriage.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, as married women, I'm sure you feel this way too, because you're like, oh, because it's like, I think we tread lightly because people put such a cloud over being married. It's like this. Oh, well,
and now that I'm thinking about it, if you're not married but you're still building, I think that would still be like contractual. So legally, we can probably make some type of contract. Right. So that way, if we just still decide to go our separate ways, this is how it's split.
Yeah, I just feel like something needs to be in place. That's my whole thing. Absolutely. It's because
you have to protect.
We still have to be real, and we have to, we can be in love, we can be living our fairy tale, but at the end of the day, you're not married, because people say, oh, marriage is just a piece of paper.
It's a little bit more than a piece of paper.
It's a little bit more than that, right?
It's way more than a piece of paper.
It's a little more than that, guys. It gets deeper, and I told my husband, I said, I'm gonna start talking about my marriage a little more
Yeah.
and not because I think I tend not to talk about it because people get like, oh, you're always talking about your husband or you're always talking about your marriage. But I'm like, there's nothing wrong with it.
What's wrong with that?
But it's like you don't want to make people feel bad, because sometimes people get like, oh, well, I'm not married. I don't want to, they project. They
Uh-huh.
project, and we just have to normalize more Black healthy
Yeah,
marriages because
that's
the
why I'm like, what's
percentage
wrong
is
with that?
low. The percentage is low. Wouldn't you think so? I
Yeah.
mean, I don't see a lot of us out here that are just married and thriving and
Yeah.
happy and healthy.
That's true.
So I think society needs to see more of it, and they need to hear of more of good experiences than bad, because we see the
Yeah.
divorce, we see the separations that are happening, especially with celebrities and things like that. But
Yeah.
just hearing it from normal people. So 7 years, how has 7 years been?
It's been awesome.
Good.
It has been, of course, eventful, and I could not imagine doing life with
I love it. I love it. See, y'all, I told y'all there's happy married people
anyone else.
out here. Like
There
they're out
is.
here.
Like, that is like the best decision I think I've ever made. Like, and at the end of the day, I know that he has my back
Come on.
no matter what. And as we say in the street, he stands behind me 10 toes down, no matter what.
Right. And he's her person.
Yeah.
And your person is out there. I tell
Yeah.
people, your person's out there. Like, I don't know how to describe it. I always say, when you know, and people used to tell me that, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But
And then you found
and
out.
then
It
you
was like,
found
oh, I
out,
do know.
and especially when you've messed up.
Oh, yeah.
It only took me one time to mess up, y'all. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, okay, the next person,
Yeah.
I'm gonna know.
I'm not hard headed.
Yeah, like you don't have to keep whipping me, God. I
Nope.
got this. And
Nope.
so I think y'all just need to be optimistic.
Optimistic, self reflect, and
Yes.
do your own personal work. I know people sit down and say, oh, well, I just wrote my list of things that I want from a man. And yeah,
Checklist.
my checklist. And then I have to ask, okay, so you have your list. But if he walked in this room right now, would you be ready for him or would you run him off? So instead of you creating that checklist, you need to do an internal checklist to make sure that you're able and ready to receive him.
Yes. And stop saying that there's no good men out here. Because there's some out here, y'all. I promise. You hear that?
Yes.
I hear that.
But then again, it's debate that.
And that's true. I was watching this pastor's message on TikTok. I think I ran across it on TikTok, like a little clip, and he was saying he sees like women or in his singles ministry, like they share like, oh, men are always DMing me, crazy stuff. And he's like, okay, so what image are you putting out there?
Yeah.
Like, why do they feel comfortable messaging you? And he's like, talk to me, fellas. Isn't that true? Are you gonna message a woman that you think is like a real woman, classy, got her stuff together? Like, are you gonna approach her that way? No. So, like you said, like, what are you putting out there? Like, perception means a lot. I know, everybody's on this. Oh, my clothes shouldn't matter. How I look shouldn't matter. What I wear, whatever. But I think it plays a role. Not saying that you have to not be sexy or not be, but I think just the way you carry yourself plays a role. And so, what are some qualities that you think a wife should have?
I'm actually just going to make this like more personal because I know every marriage is different.
Yeah.
And so I think that depending on what marriage,
Mhm.
that quality might change. Personally, as a wife, I would say I'm very supportive of my husband and I am willing to follow. And I'm okay with submitting to my husband. I know that's not for everybody.
But I think it's because they don't know what submission means.
Also, women are submitting to the wrong type of man. when you are with the right man, you want me to cook your food?
I got you.
You told me not to do that. Okay.
No, for real, y'all. Whenever
Yeah,
they're showing you that they're the man that you need them to be, it's
it's
easy.
easy.
It's easy. It's
Yes,
not
it is
hard.
easy.
It's really not. And it's not that they're controlling us. We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that in the comments probably.
Oh
They're
no.
controlling you, everything's not about your husband. It's not.
I feel that also it's not necessarily
Hmm.
controlling, but it's protection as well.
Yep.
It's love. Like he's trying to love me, trying to protect me, and he's doing what his vow said.
Yep.
That's what he's doing. So
Yep.
I'm willing to say,
Yep. Because there's nothing out there that we're missing.
no.
Like people make it seem like, oh, you're married, it's the end of your life. And I'm like, no, it's really not. It's just the beginning. It's just the beginning because I have a life partner that, I can travel with, I can talk to, and, really truly this person should become your best friend.
You're sharing your life together.
Yeah. And I think when you find that, you realize really what you're missing. Like
Yeah.
when your other half, the other half of you. And I just, the hopeless romantic in me wants everybody to experience it because
It's beautiful.
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. It is definitely a beautiful thing. And so I love that advice, guys. Like, just stay open minded because, I said I'm going to do like a whole little series on it because I keep getting questions about it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
being a wife, I mean, I guess it's a lot, but I mean, I enjoy it. So I guess I don't look at it like that.
Yeah.
So would you say the same? Like,
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like a chore or like getting frustrated and overwhelmed. And of course, like life is life. Of course, arguments happen, but
yeah, we argued yesterday. I was telling that everybody's like, I took some pictures yesterday because I kind of want to like redo my website. There's like some other stuff that I'm getting into,
yeah.
and so I needed photos. Pictures, photo shoot went great. The end of the photo, we got to the end, y'all. We did great, and then we argued. It was cool. We got it together, but it's gonna happen. So if you think
Yeah.
like you're leaving a relationship because you don't want to argue, good luck. Like, good
That's
luck.
actually a sign of a unhealthy
Mhm.
relationship if you're like, oh, a sign of, oh, we never argue.
Yeah.
That, ever?
Like, what's wrong with you?
Like that's normal to have arguments. Like how you're arguing,
Mm,
that is a completely different
yes.
story. If
Yes.
you're cussing each other out,
No.
but it's okay to disagree.
It's okay to disagree. It's just when you go below the belt and
Oh,
you're
yeah.
hitting triggers, you're saying things maybe that they told you, in a private moment and they were vulnerable with you. Now you're
And you
using
throwing
it.
them in their face.
Yeah, you throwing
That's
it in their face. Not okay.
at
Not
all.
okay. So those moments, and so I think we probably need to have wife classes, y'all, because y'all stressing me out with these questions. I'm like, I can answer your questions, but I need some other people to help me out. Okay. So I've been married, it's gonna be 5 years this year. So I have friends who've been married like 12, 13,
Yeah.
14, set, like so it's gonna be good because I'm thinking I want to do like a marriage panel, like a wife
Yeah.
panel, and then people can kind of ask their questions and we can answer them. So I think that's kind of how I want to approach it because we get a
That
lot
would
of
be
those
awesome.
questions. Yeah. And just a balance of being a wife, being professional, having your own identity outside of your husband.
Yeah.
And so she's doing it, guys. Like it's possible.
And it's easy to lose who you are in a relationship, but it's extremely important that you maintain that individuality.
Mhm. And how, like, what are some things that you do to make sure that you maintain that?
I continue to nurture my friendships.
Mm,
Friendships are extremely important
mm,
because in those moments where we might be arguing, you know what? Frustrated with you. I'm about to go have dinner with my best
mhm.
friend, and I'm able to recharge, rejuvenate, and come back.
Yeah, I like that.
And it provides for a healthy being able to have that friendship.
So not losing sight of what you had before
Yeah.
and still maintaining that, and also just being present in your relationship at the same like you can do both.
Yeah.
Because I do agree. I feel like people lose who they are because they're so, it's only right you're into your relationship. But just making sure that you maintain those friendships in those relationships with family and friends. Um, I live so like for me, I live a little farther than everyone else. So I'm always like,
Yeah.
can we meet in the middle? Can we meet in the middle? Because I'm the one that's in crazy country over here in Humble. And everybody's on the other side of town. So, but just finding balance and just making sure that you foster those relationships. Did you have anything you wanted to ask me? I always leave the end for questions.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm just kidding. Every therapist that comes on, they're always like, no. Because guess what? They've already dissected everything they need to know because I know because I do it. It's a thing, guys. Don't worry. She already knows everything just by talking to me. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I want her to say her business website one more time so you guys can
Yes.
have it.
It is Experience Life Counseling, and it's www.experiencelife-counseling.com.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace.
Well, guys, that concludes our episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Allow Yourself Grace podcast. For additional information about today's episode, please click the link in the show notes below. To learn more about our Grace Girls community and other resources we have to offer, head over to www.allowyourselfgrace.com. Until next time, Grace Girls, I love you all. Be blessed and continue to strive for success.